Hello, hello, it's me again. Yes, the other thing I wanted to say today was that one of the reasons why the fella in charge of the crisis team decided to section me was because he was very worried by the fact that I mentioned again, which happened some time ago, that the man who was doing the blood testing at York District Hospital admitted to me that the machine was faulty and wasn't reliable, that it was dicky, in fact. He admitted that to me when I had, it was about, when they thought I had a pituitary tumour. I ended up ringing up the man in the blood testing department, to try and find out what the results actually were and why they were so concerned. And he then told me in anguished tones that the machine was not reliable. Now, I related this to, because my psychiatrist in York was obsessed with blood testing and stuff, and all this lot all the time, and really actually a powermonger, I have to say. I was actually quite fond of him as a familiar face, but because there were so many people leaving all around me, but I have to say that he's treated me very badly indeed, and that he's not in my good books at all. In fact, I'm very, very annoyed with him for blaming me for something that I related to him as having no company other than him to relate things to. And, they're meant to be initiating discussion and wanting response for you and wanting to know what's on your mind. And when you tell them, they're really shocked, and it's as though I made it up and it's something to do with my imagination. And it was nothing to do with my imagination. The man in the blood testing department at York District Hospital told me that the machine was dicky and that it was not reliable. Now, why he told me that, it may have been because he knew I was vulnerable, and he could have been getting some kind of kick out of trying to freak me out. Now, I certainly wasn't trying to get some kind of kick myself from freaking anybody out by relating the conversation. It was out of a sense of duty, because if the machine really is dicky, then people could be being put through all sorts of operations and stuff that they don't really need, which was one of my fears for myself. And it's just such a sensitive issue that machine may not be working correctly. There may be people like I was expressing concerns to the psychiatrist also, that although we haven't been involved in a Cold War for a long time with Russia or anybody else overtly, there is a material capitalist war that is, I can liken to a Cold War going on, where people so much want to keep jobs and income going that they'll screw you. That they'll sell you stuff that doesn't work. That this thing where everything's limited lifespan and meant to break in a couple of years. The whole thing is skewed, and it can be likened to a Cold War. And various countries may have various interests. Also partisan type interests that could be likened to a Cold War in keeping their particular industries and concerns going. I'm sorry if this freaked the psychiatrist out as well, but I think it really needs to be said. I really see I've said before, I see a terrible situation and I don't know how to sort it out. Because, like, I don't want, well, I mean, I don't think that locking me up and injecting me is going to sort it out, first of all. I think that I don't think either that I'm alarming people unnecessarily. It's not I'm not the one making horror films. Some people make a living out of making horror films. I'm not making horror films. And I'm not trying to horrify anybody or create any panic. I'm just expressing a valid concern that if we let the situation continue in the direction it is going, that there may be problems ahead. And somehow I feel as though we've got to think of some way of rescuing not only ourselves, but again, I've tried to say this, I've tried to, if there is any Cold War element, I've tried to break it up by saying, well, we need to all group together to save the whole of us, and try and come up with some, well, global warming is a common concern, and if we don't address that all together, then I'm afraid we will lose the opportunity for binding that we need as nations to become one world and acknowledge a shared earth and try to come to some kind of consensus. It may be that humanity is so flawed that no such consensus could ever be reached, and that people want individual particularities in such a way that consensus can't be reached. It could be that we are all designed to kind of break each other down or try to break each other down and compete. And that's, you know, the kind of reaction that I've had from the mental health people has hurt me, actually, because it's reconfigured in my mind that humanity might not only be flawed but might be quite spiteful and nasty, just at the time when I didn't need that, when I was trying to get together some kind of suggest some kind of resolutions like the air tax and the sugar tax and so on that may work, but won't work if people are greedy and just interested in destroying a harmless person like me for the sake of it. So yeah, anyway, I'll say more perhaps about some of the difficulties I've faced at home through neighbours and stuff being rotten to me as well, on another video. Okay then, bye for now, bye.